If you wanna make the hardest Playboi Carti beats, this is the video for you. In fact, today we're going to analyze the techniques used in IM music and make a crazy fire beat, so let's get into it. For the BPM, let's go at 145 or something like that. But in IM music we have a lot of tracks and different styles, but generally in the hardest beats they were around this BPM. Now we can start with the main melody, and the most important element in these beats is the lead. These lead melodies are really simple and repetitive, and that makes the beat easy to remember. But finding such melodies right away can be hard, so I suggest to build a foundation first, and for that we need a pad. We could use something like that, but it's too simple because the tone isn't changing and it's pretty static. So let's try the action pads. Ooh! Yeah, this one is fire. The sound is evolving and changing. And that's perfect for a Playboi Carti beat. Before laying down the melody, let's select a scale. Right now we are in C# minor, and we can just build a chord. If you don't know how, just skip one note of the scale and skip another one. Yeah, we can make this even longer. Now this is a basic chord, and we could make this more complex to add even more tension. For example, we could use these two notes that are close together, pitch it up. But I don't really wanna use this note, because in a lot of these beats I heard they use the Phrygian scale, and as you can see now this note is not highlighted anymore, but this one is. But I saw they prefer to use this note only with the bass, so let's place this other one. Copy this? Maybe here create some variation just to spice it up. Now we can add some effects on this. I want it in the background since it's just a pad, so we can remove these higher frequencies. And we can add some reverb too, again to push it a bit more in the background. Now we can't really hear it because it's the only sound we have, but it will make sense. Our pad melody is done. We don't have to overcomplicate it, but we have to keep it simple, especially with these sounds that change. But another really important element that defines the mood is the bass. So let's use a bass like that, but let's not go too crazy with that. We can just play around with the Phrygian scale. Maybe delay this one, just to have more bounce. Maybe at the end create some variation. I used a simple pattern but played around with the bounce, so also the drums will sound really good on that. We could add some distortion on it. I already used this one, but... okay, that's good. And I pitch it up to E. By just using two sounds and a few notes, we already have that Playboi Carti vibe, but we are still missing a lead. And in IM music, I can hear some dance electric music influence. And to find these sounds, we can use Serum or Vital, for example. Yeah, I was searching for a lead and playing with the keyboard, I got another idea to use this sound to have more bounce. And I'm going to follow this idea right now. I really like the tone of this sound, and I think it matches the vibe of our pad. So we can add some reverb. And it has some distortion already. That's really good. Let's make this melody more interesting. Let's add motions. That's subtle, but it will sound good. They're clashing a little bit. So let's add penman. Okay, man, that's fire. And I couldn't find a lead that I liked, so let's open Riffle because I had some Playboi Carti inspired leads. Yeah, that sound is perfect! Oh, and by the way, if you wanna check out Riffle, the link is in the description. To find a catchy lead melody, we just need to play around with 2-3 notes and make sure it sounds catchy. Oh wait, I have an idea. Na na na. Woo! Yeah. Yeah, man, this lead goes crazy. Now, this already sounds full, but we need some other elements to create some variation. And let's search for an electric guitar or something. Yeah, also something cheap like that can work. We can just follow the chord, honestly. Now trust the process. It doesn't sound that good, but with some effect, added a lot of reverb. And add some delay too. And maybe we can layer that sound with something else to get a different tone. Yo, I like that one. Okay, that's really good, and again, this sounds full. I just want to add one last thing, just to create a corner response between this guitar and something else. And we could use another lead, maybe with a slide, without overcomplicating it. Yeah, this one is fire. Yeah, let's have only at the start. Then that's finally enough. So let's arrange this real quick. We can start right away with the chorus, because then we're going to build the intro too. Then in the second part of the hook we can have almost everything. Then for the verse let's keep space. Yeah, Playboi will go crazy on that. And on the second part, let's add something. Okay, that's really good, and now we can build the intro. As I said before, I heard a lot of EDM elements, and I think the intro in Heavily Jordan is what made it go viral. And for that, they used a really simple progression that's used a lot also in Yeet, Travis Scott intros. They move the first chord after and start with the 6th note of the scale. This will create a lot of tension here because we will want to hear the root chord. That's why it works really well. Yeah, I pasted the wrong chord, my fault. Maybe we can remove the distortion from the intro, because we are going for a more ethereal kind of vibe. Okay, and that's already enough. We don't have to make a really full intro, otherwise it will take the space of the hook. So we need to keep it simple, make it stop before. So here we can add some effects. I already did that in another video, but I want to add some reverb on the master and have only the wet so we can automate this knob. Yeah, but the drums is gonna sound insane! And now it's finally time to add the drums. For the clap, I heard they use a lot of snares. They sound hard, you know. Sometimes they keep it simple like that. But we can add some bounce. Yeah, that's good. Usually I would proceed with the hi-hats, but in a lot of these songs they went crazy with the open hat. Let's find an interesting pattern we can repeat. And here we can leave space for the other percussions. So the hi-hat. In this album they experimented a lot, so let's try to use unusual rolls. Yeah, also the pause there works. Randomize pen and velocity. Let's add also some slide notes, again to experiment a bit, you know. Okay, we can just copy this. Let's add also a counter snare. We could, for example, fill the gaps we left with the clap. But let's create bounce at the end. Okay, and here at the end, let's make a longer roll using triplets, because they sound fire. In Heavily Jordan, they spam these like that. But let's add some rolls. Randomize them too, why not? And I also found this cowbell. Okay, I think the drums are finished, and now we can take care of the low end. In a lot of tracks, they start with the wrist bass and the kick. And honestly, the low end was interesting in this type of beats, so I think I'm going to use the classic Detroit bass. And we can delete this from the main bass and use it here. Yeah, maybe we need to layer. Maybe we can do the opposite, so keep this version with the kick on the second part, and to have a harder drop we can have the mini 808 here. So right now I wanna layer the 808 with the bass, because they did that too a lot in iMusic and it sounds fire. But for now the bass frequencies are clashing, and while it could not be a problem, let's add an EQ on the bass. Remove this low end, since we don't need it. And automate also this to have it only with the 808. And now we can go crazy with the 808 pattern. One thing they do is to use notes that we shouldn't use. We should follow only the root notes, but they experiment more. This is crazy! But we need to paste this pattern on the bass, so it will follow the same notes. We are in paradise, man! Woo! Playboi will go crazy on that! Let's hear the verse. A lot of space here.